Welcome everyone to Women in Cryptocurrency. Today is Wednesday, Women's Wednesday, June the 1st, 2022. I am delighted that you have taken the time out today to spend with us. We are a group of women on a mission, and we're going to tell you all about it, all right? So let's get started. First thing we're going to talk about, I have the butterfly displayed because it struck me today specifically that we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but we rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And that's by Maya Angelou, right? And so tonight we're going to talk about the changes that women have to go through specifically, and talk about the changes that we have to go through to evolve in the financial space. The changes that we've gone through from bartering, trading a cow for a wife, or to trading food and bartering simply to money and to bars of gold and to checkbook, to credit card, to debit card, to electronic transactions like your Cash Apps, your Zelle, your Venmos. We have evolved just like the butterfly. We've changed in the financial industry. And so what I'd like you to do tonight is open your mind to change. We're going to specifically focus on some old school ways and talk about some new school ways. And so I want you to be really open to that changing and the beauty that the butterfly comes into. So those of you who don't know me, I'd like to introduce myself to you. My name is Shelby Casey Thompson, and I'm calling all dreamers out there. And all of us at some point in our life had dreams. They may have been suppressed by one way or another, but tonight I want you to be open and think about the dreams that you've always had in your life. I'm an educator by trade. I have my bachelor's degree in early childhood education. I'm an entrepreneur to my spirit, right? But I've always been a fearful entrepreneur, a straddler entrepreneur, half working, half entrepreneurship. And so I'm looking to change that in my life. And so one of the businesses that we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to focus on tonight, is called GS Partners. And in that business, I've reached the level of national director. And that is nowhere near the highest level of this business. And there's people on this line that have reached that and above. And so I just want to let you know, from the people who started yesterday to the people who've reached close to the top ranking of our company, you are in good hands. And there are several people on this line that are just consistently winning in this business. Another description of me is that I'm a helper. I love to help people to achieve. I love to help people to learn. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. So tonight we're going to talk about money, right? We're going to talk about how money grows, how money moves, all kinds of fun things about money. But we need you to know that I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not giving financial advice. And what does that mean specifically? It doesn't mean that I'm trying to discredit what's going to be said. I'm simply saying that I don't have the certificates involved. But what I do have is proof of action, right? I've tried this and it's worked. And that's the reason why I'm presenting it to you tonight. Sound good? So this is how the agenda is going to go for tonight. Introduction, which I just did, introduction of who I am. And then we're going to tell you what the Women in Cryptocurrency's mission really is. We're going to talk about the cryptocurrency industry, just give you a little bit of basis to jump from. And then we're going to do some education. We're going to understand investments, right? I'm going to use that word simply because it'll be used in the video. We're going to talk about investments past and present, right? The video is going to show you about investments in the past. And what I'm going to talk about is exchanging for return. That's what we're doing in the present. So we're also going to talk to you about a full service blockchain technology opportunity. Not a cryptocurrency opportunity, but a blockchain technology opportunity, and there's a difference. Then I'm going to let you meet our support team. Our support team are the people who are on this line tonight. Wonderful women and men who care about the course of their future, and they care about the course of your future, and that's why they invited you here tonight. Does that sound good? And then we're going to open it up for questions and answers, right? That's generally the format. Now, last week we did something super special where we watched a little bit of video, and then we watched a little bit of video, and then we gave feedback back and forth, and we're going to do that same thing today. Sound good?
Dang.
Sounds good. All right. So my support team is going to make sure everyone's muted so that just to protect the integrity of the call, and we will move on from here. So let's listen to the mission, right? Our mission in Women in Cryptocurrency is to empower women with the information and the education needed to enter the cryptocurrency industry. Now, we believe that when like-minded individuals come together to support one another, the benefits can be even greater. Can you enter the cryptocurrency space without us? Yes, you can. But we believe that supporting one another will help you to develop even further and to alleviate some of the pitfalls that are associated in this industry. Now, our goal is to provide a platform to share information about this amazing opportunity in the blockchain technology space. And hoping that it can help finance the expansion of your wealth portfolio and possibly your dreams, right? You have to be open to change. And that's why we're here together. So why were you invited to this movement? We love to say that this is not a meeting, this is a movement. We are pushing women forward in a place where they belong. Does that sound good? So you were invited because we found a way to multiply our money in $1 trillion industry. Back in 2001, the cryptocurrency space hit $1 trillion industry. Now that is significant. Just the cryptocurrency space, not the blockchain technology, not the gaming space, but just cryptocurrency alone. Now, where did all of this start and what in the world did it mean? So back in 2009, for those of you who may be new to this space, back in 2009, cryptocurrency jumped on the scene, okay? And it started with a coin called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the grandfather, the first and the largest cryptocurrency in the world. There are thousands of different types of cryptocurrencies out there, but most people use the word Bitcoin because it was the first. Now, when it first jumped onto the scene, nobody knew what to do with it. No one knew if it was real. Everyone was skeptical about this thing. Some people got it for free in the gaming space, and some people bought a whole bunch of it for pennies. You'll see the circle around 2009 and 2011 when cryptocurrency was less than $5. Those were the people who got in first movers advantage, and the people who got in that took a chance. They were willing to be that caterpillar to turn into that butterfly, taking a chance to see what would happen, okay? As you can see on this chart, Bitcoin continued to grow. And you may have seen in the news that Bitcoin is crashing, that, people are losing money. You may see those things in the news, but I want you to understand that when things go down, it's an opportunity for those who are open-minded and heavy thinkers, right? Wealth thinkers are thinking, oh, it's coming down. Now I can buy and position myself. So what we're going to encourage you to do today is to take a look at a coin and take a look at an opportunity and take a look at a platform that can bring you right down in that circled area, right? That can give you first movers advantage so that no matter what this platform does from here on out, you will be on the upside. Does that make sense? So back in 2001, Bitcoin hit $58,000. Well, right now we know it's down in the 30s, right? But do the people who paid $5 for Bitcoin, do they care that it's in the 30s? They don't. The people who paid $20,000 for Bitcoin, do they care that it's in the 30s? They don't. When I first got my first piece of Bitcoin, it was about $10,000. And when I earned a significant point of my Bitcoin was about $18,000 to $20,000. And in less than a year, that Bitcoin has grown for me. And so I'm thrilled about it. And that's the reason why I do this, to make sure that I pass it on, because somebody told me about it early on, or earlier than the rate is now. And we're doing the same thing for you. Sound good? So that $1 trillion industry that we talked about, right? You say, oh, well, there's lots of $1 trillion industries. Well, not so much. It took Microsoft 44 years to become a $1 trillion industry. And it took Apple 42, Amazon 24 years. 24 years, started in the garage. Nobody believed it was possible, simply selling books, and everybody said it wouldn't happen. And there were naysayers and all the above, right? Google, same thing, a simple search engine. They said, how is that going to do anything for anybody? And look at it now. Bitcoin, everybody said it was fake, it was a fraud, it would never get anywhere, it would never be accepted as currency. All of these industries were like Noah trying to tell everybody to hop on that ark, and everybody thought he was crazy. And so those of us who invited you here tonight, that's kind of how we feel. We're trying to tell people to come on board to something amazing in the blockchain technology space. And there's people who don't believe, and that's okay. That's the reason why we have this platform, to give you education so that you can make an educated decision, not a decision based upon what you heard, or based upon what you think, or based upon what your fears are, but making an educated decision based upon information that we're sharing with you here today. So here we go with the education, right? One of my favorite parts. So I did some research about how women and men approach money, how they approach money differently. I've been a proponent for the last 3 years that women are so different when it comes to this space, and so different in this industry. And I didn't have solid research, right? I had a couple of videos and I had a little bit more, but this video I love because it brings it all together and talks about how we think as women and how men think about money. Now, she's going to use some terms about investing and things like that, and it's really not the point of what I'm saying. It's just, I want to show you the difference. Does that sound good? Let's listen, and then we're going to talk about it for a moment.
So if you think about investing today, it tends to be all about outperforming the market. It tends to be about making more money, and it tends to be about picking and choosing the right stock, the right mutual fund versus an ETF, the right money manager. And that has worked, I was going to say well for the population, but frankly, has worked okay for the population. Why? Because the goal that the industry set itself a long time ago of active management and outperforming the market, well less than 1%, well less than 0.5% of money managers outperform the market consistently over any 5-year period. Okay, so back up. When we did our research with women, the concept of beating the market fell completely flat. The concept of winning fell flat. In fact, even the concept of making more money fell pretty flat, sort of surprisingly to me. It seemed like a pretty good goal. What worked for women were actual goals. So, okay, if I'm going to put my money aside and invest my money, I want to be able to, in X number of years, buy my dream home, have a child, start a business, retire well, take that trip around the world that I wanted to. And so we found that women tend to be more goals-oriented and focused than men. Another finding for us, men tend to, if you ask them the question about their risk tolerance, which, by the way, the whole industry does, men will answer. By the way, they don't know what it is. We only ever learn what our risk tolerance is really when we go through downturns. But women, we found, were, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to think about that. Let me think about that, and I'll get back to you. And they never do. It really shuts down the conversation. And so we, instead of asking a question we know people don't have the wherewithal to answer, instead we said, okay, let us learn about you through taking you through the product and the capability. Tell us what your goals are, and then we'll tell you essentially how much risk you can afford. So for an example, you and I are the same person. We make the same salary. We have the same level of education. We're the same age. And you don't have an emergency fund, so you don't have cash set aside for a rainy, rainy day. And you want to have a baby in 4 years. I just need to retire, right? It doesn't really matter what I think my risk tolerance is. You don't get a lot of risk. I get plenty of risk. And so we tweaked things like that, as well as really making it goals-based, approaching risk differently, taking into account, again, that women live longer and salaries peak sooner, forecasting out their life curves. And then the most important change we found is that most people think of and describe women as risk-averse investors. What we found, maybe a subtle point, is women are risk-aware investors. And what they wanted was not, hey, explain risk to me in standard deviation and let's really go through that statistical analysis, but more, hold on, how bad can it get? And so what we do is we track women to their goal, and say in X% of markets it could be this bad and Y% that bad. And if you fall off track to reaching your goal, we'll reach out to you, tell you you're off track, and tell you what you have to do to get back on. Deposit another $1,000, retire 6 months later. So those are a few of the differences, some of which are straightforward and others of which are more subtle, that we found were barriers from keeping women from investing. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of Ellevest, which is a digital investment platform for women. If you had told me a couple of years ago that I should build a digital investment platform for women, I would have told you you were sexist. I would have told you it was a really stupid idea. And I would have probably been somewhat disdainful to you about it. And would have said, women don't need anything different from men. What do you think, our lady brains can't handle the big man brain numbers? But then, one morning I had an insight, which is the retirement savings crisis in this country is really a woman's issue and a woman's crisis. We retire with 2/3 the money of men, and we live 6 to 8 years longer. 80% of nursing home residents are women. So it really is, while we're not used to thinking about it through a gendered perspective, it is really a woman's issue. That changes the solutions. They go from being all about tax increases and entitlement cuts to being about women having more money. So how do we get women more money? Well, there are a lot of people working on the gender pay gap and the gender work achievement gap, but it struck me at about the same time that there's a gender investing gap, that it cost women hundreds of thousands of dollars, some women millions of dollars over the course of their lives because they don't invest as much as men do. We women tend to blame ourselves. I need more financial education. I really need to dig in and do this. I just have to find the right company. But it struck me as I sort of dug into it that maybe the problem is not ours as women. Maybe the challenge is that it's an industry that's by men for men, that 86% of financial advisors are men, and that number has held steady for forever. And as a result, it just fits men better. And the words they use, beat the market, outperform, pick a winner, are words of war and sports. The investing TV is like watching sports Sunday, and the industry symbol is a bull, so it's a phallic symbol. So in every way, it's sort of set for men. Include the fact that men will invest through jargon and women won't. And you have an industry that doesn't feel right for women. So we decided to dig in and change not just the marketing, lots of people market to women, but the underlying product as well, to take into account what we were learning about women and how they invest, and to take into account the fact that we live longer. That's important when you're forecasting how much income you need for retirement. Our salaries peak sooner. That's completely unfair, but is important when putting together financial and investing plans.
Right. I want to stop there because I want to talk about that. I want to talk about what she said, and if any of our committee committee leaders want to jump in and just tell us what you think about that. Did you already know these things? Do you feel these things? Do you feel that your sister friends think this way? Did you understand the difference between, not the difference between, but the correlation between the fact that we make less, we retire on less, and we live longer, right? That was just
Right.
shocking to me. Go ahead and jump in. I see Deborah Nixon. Come on in.
Hey, Sister Shelby, and all of the guests tonight. Welcome to Empowered Women in Crypto. You really brought up a great point with that last video clip. Why? As someone who's just entering that baby boomer close to retirement time, all of our lives, we've always been encouraged to sit in the shadows of our spouses. And so it wasn't until this time in our lives, I could speak for myself and many who've shared the same, that when they hit 45 to now 65, it's when they started paying attention to their retirement, to their finances, to their part and their wealth or lack of, right? And so many of us have taken the back seat. And so I love that the video brought up the importance of us really knowing our worth at an earlier age. And I'm so glad that this movement is reaching women of every age from 18 to 98. And it's really talking about us understanding money, how it moves. And even though it's been predominantly a man's wealthy world, it's time for us to have our role. And this digital asset space gives us that opportunity. So thank you so much, Shelby, for bringing that last video up. So if any of you have experienced these things and been in the shadows of your spouse, just know it was part of the conditioning, but it's not too late. Now's the time for you to say, it's my time and I am worthy too. So much love. And thank you for allowing me to share. I relinquish the mic.
Thank you, Sister Deb. This is Felicia. And I'm not married. I'm married, not married at all. So I'm not in the shadow, but I understood exactly what she was saying. And it's really kind of like how we know how to spend money, we know how to make money, we know how to do stuff with our money. We haven't been given the opportunity that we have right now to do what we want to do with our own money, the way we want to do with our own money. So we're in an amazing opportunity where we can have control over our money and make it how we want to make our money. And that's how I received that video. So that was an excellent video for me, coming from a former hairstylist of over 30 years. So I worked in the women's world, I worked in the business world, and it's big, but we spend a lot of our money and we waste a lot of our money. And now we have the opportunity to have control over our money. So that video was great for me, Sister Shelby. I relinquish my mic.
Malta.
Well, it's my turn. Okay,
Yeah.
well, check this out, ladies. And excuse my abruptness, but we just built different. Okay, if they want to call it sexist, fine then, because
Right,
what they also call ADHD, entrepreneurs call multitasking.
right.
My point in saying all this, ladies, this is the time. The men have always depended on us.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be
Correct.
married, but you gotta have a brother, you got a uncle, you got a daddy, and their cousins that your first cousin. You have put yourself to the side on their behalf many and many and many a times. Their mama died, and now you gotta be their mama. You gotta be their big sister. You gotta be their auntie. No matter how you were born in that family, when your mama died, your mama died. They depend on us. If we sit here and we want to get into a mind full of revenge, that's your motivation, so be it. I don't think that's going to get you as far as the rest of us. Get here in the mind of reality and realizing that it's on you and it's always been on you. And excuse my language, but we built for this shit. Then you go on and you move hard because it's about your sons. It's about your husbands. It's about your cousins. It's about your uncles. If your daddy and your grandfather's still alive, it's about them too. They can't help what they were born into, no more than we can help what we were born into. We have this opportunity now. I'm taking advantage of it.
That's right.
So ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm going to relinquish the mic. Thank you, ladies. Just think about where you are. We queens. Oh,
Thank you so much for that. Queen Jonah, did you want to wrap that one up before we move on?
I did. I think I wanted to speak to the marketing side of things, the way she was talking about the way they talk to us or speak to us. We like Malta say, we're built different, and I know when I've sat down with investors or financial advisors, if you would, they start planning these numbers, and one of the things I have to tell them, they have me grouped in some number like I'm going to pass away at 80. I'm like, no, and I always laugh it off because I say, look, my dad is 95 and my mother is 90. So the chances of me living a long, satisfied life is pretty good, and they're in great health. But I'm watching them how they put us in these boxes of age, and then they put us in a box how they market to us. And so it's groups like what we have here with Empower Women in Crypto that is so beneficial to us because there are no boxes here, no status, no age limit, none of that. And so yes, we're marketing to all women, all color, all statuses. But when she was talking, I said, she's absolutely right. Because I've watched how they've spoken to me. And, it's just, I'm like, no. And we have to be empowered to speak up. That's what I was thinking when she was talking. I was like, sometimes we sit there and we listen because we're not educated in this area. So these type of calls and this environment, this movement, if you would, it empowers us to be able to speak up when we hear information that we know doesn't benefit us, or it's just not who we are. Back to you. I yield the mic.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone that gave feedback. Gail, come on to the front, and then we're going to move on so we can talk about the old school way of investment and the new way of exchanging for returns. Gail?
Hi, thank you so much, Ms. Shelby, and hello to everyone. I just want to say a word to wives. I'm a wife who lived with a financial investment officer for years and years and years. What this video did for me, it helped me understand why my husband and I have not been able to have a good money conversation between the two of us. And it's not like I wasn't out, I wasn't in the marketplace, I didn't know a few things, and he knew more, but we couldn't sit down and have a conversation because he's got that male brain that he brings to it, and I bring a different brain. And this has really helped because I'm 71 years old. I may live another 30 years. We still have some money conversations that we need to have, and this video has certainly helped. So I just want to put it out there that, for women who are talking with even spouses about these kinds of things, this just puts a gives me a different strategy for having that conversation. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Gail, for that. And thank you everyone who shared their opinions and their thoughts and their feelings about that. I'm so happy that the video was able to just have us think different, or to remind us of things, or let us see some things, because that's really always the goal. So what I want to do now, I promised you that we would talk about the old school way and the new school way, right? And the old school savings and investments. And then we're going to bring you right to the new era of exchanging for returns, because that's what I need to call it, because I'm not a financial advisor, exchanging for returns. Now, the old school way, oftentimes when we talk about our opportunity, we assume that people understand what 401ks are, what IRAs are, and what CDs are. We have that assumption because we tell people, well, our product is similar to a CD. But oftentimes people don't even really know what certificates of deposits are that come from the bank. They don't know what they yield, right? Some people came from the era of bonds, right? When I was young, I remember like so excited. The old folks would, I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to get his birthday gift. I'm so excited. And I would get like a savings bond. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Like I had no idea what to do with this. And I didn't know what it meant, but it was with good intention. It was with a good intention that I received that savings bond to try to set me up for the future. But we soon found out that it didn't. It absolutely did not. So let's listen to the old school way of savings and investments. So those of you who are not in the car, grab a pen and piece of paper because they're going to give you some numbers that are astonishing. It's going to start back in 1968, I believe, and I was born in 1971. So just a few years before I was born, if these things were to take place, these numbers are accurate. But whatever year you were born, plug those numbers in, and I promise you they are accurate. So let's write it down, let's think about it, and let's listen.
In the simplest of terms, the investment risk is a possibility of an investment bringing a result other than anticipated. You may lose some or all of your invested funds, even though you anticipated profit. You can also gain something, but less than you have expected. For example, you could have expected a return on an investment of 5%, but only got 2%. It is important to realize that every investment entails some risk, and to understand the underlying reasons. We will discuss this further using an example of Irenaeus, the most unlucky investor in the world, who is also lousy when it comes to risk assessment. The inflation risk, or the purchasing power risk. Let us use an example from the book Fundamental Analysis by John C. Ritchie. According to the example, we will assume that on January 1st, 1967, Irenaeus deposited $1,000 into his savings account and expected to maintain or even gain his purchasing power. The annual capitalized interest rate was 5%. Irenaeus kept.
I want you to notice that back in 1967, interest rates in the bank were at 5% back then. Now it might be 0.5 or 0.05, right? Let's listen to this. This blows my mind.
His money in his bank account until the end of 1985. So we can calculate that at the end of 1985, he had $2,526.95 in his account. Should he be happy with this result? At the same time, the value of the dollar fell to 31 cents as compared to 1967 when the account was opened. Thus, in 1985, the purchasing power of the original amount, $2,526, was now only $783.35 in terms of dollars from 1967. Irenaeus underestimated the impact of inflation. He did not expect that inflation would be so high, so he had lost some of his purchasing power, i.e., $216.65 from 1967, instead of maintaining or gaining it. Interest rate risk. Irenaeus decided to spend $1,000 to buy bonds that would pay 4% annually in interest. His colleague Arcadius made the right decision to delay his purchase of the bonds, because a few months later, new bonds paid 6% in interest, e.g., due to the rising inflation. Arcadius spent $1,000 and received $60 in interest each year, while Irenaeus received only $40 per year. If Irenaeus wanted to sell his bonds on the market, he would not be able to sell them for $1,000 anymore. Why would anyone buy bonds from him and be paid merely 4% in interest, when bonds bought directly from the issuer would pay 6% in interest? So, to sell his bonds, Irenaeus had to lower their price to pay the equivalent or more of the return rate on the new bonds. In this case, he would have to lower the price of his bonds to $650, for example. Any buyer would receive $40 a year for a one-time price of $650, so that the interest rate on the old bonds would effectively rise to 6.15%. Unfortunately, Irenaeus would lose $350 on sale. Of course, he could abstain from selling his bonds and wait until their redemption, but in that case, he would earn 4% in interest instead of 6%. Political risk. Irenaeus, discouraged slightly from his previous failures, decided to invest in foreign real estate. He bought a beautiful seaside property, which he intended to sell at a profit. Roughly at the same time, a socialist dictator came to power in the country. Pretty soon the property was nationalized and put into use by other people.
Oh no.
Irenaeus lost all the funds he invested in the property. Of course, Irenaeus was extremely unlucky. Political risk does not always involve such extremes as war or totalitarian dictatorship. Political risk may be associated with any political activities that have a negative impact on the economy and on the profitability of investments, such as economic regulations that negatively impact the economy, or instability of law, causing increased uncertainty. Currency risk. What Irenaeus lacked in good fortune, he made up for in perseverance. And try not to ask where he got the money for all of these endeavors. We simply do not know. Irenaeus had some Polish złotys, so he exchanged them for dollars and started buying shares of some American companies. After a year, the prices of shares bought by Irenaeus expressed in dollars increased by 10%. Irenaeus thought that his investment was a great success, so he sold his shares, exchanged dollars for złotys, and to his astonishment discovered that after the exchange, he had less złotys in his pocket than he had last year. It happened because Irenaeus did not take into account exchange rate volatility. Irenaeus bought $250 with 1,000 złotys. At the same time, $1 cost 4 złotys. After Irenaeus sold dollars for shares, the value of the shares increased to $275, that is by 10%. Then he sold his shares for dollars, and he finally bought złotys with dollars at the exchange rate of 3.5 złotys for a dollar, because the złoty strengthened against the dollar in the meantime. At this exchange rate, Irenaeus sold $275 and got 962.5 złotys.
Oh no.
Irenaeus' luck would have turned around and he would have gained money had the dollar strengthened against the złoty instead. Liquidity risk. But our hero had yet another idea. He wanted to invest in artwork. Irenaeus bought a painting, hoping for its value to grow with time. He was not mistaken, its value was actually steadily growing. Unfortunately, at some point Irenaeus urgently needed large amounts of cash. He decided to sell the painting, but he struggled to find any buyer. Although his painting was worth much more than he needed at the moment, Irenaeus failed to sell it quickly enough, so in the meantime, he had to get a high-interest loan.
Oh no.
The liquidity risk particularly applies to real estate, on popular shares of companies, and others as well. Low liquidity assets are difficult to sell, and if you want to sell them quickly, you have to significantly lower your assets.
All right, I want to stop there because I also want to discuss this, but I want to bring forward the point. The point is, those of us who are in the blockchain technology, cryptocurrency industry, and as we go about our life telling people how wonderful this space is, often we're met with opposition because people are trusting of the trusty dusty bank. They're trusting of government issued financial pieces, right? And they would lead you to believe that the only risks that are out there in the world in the financial space are in the cryptocurrency or blockchain technology industry. We know that that's not true, but people forget, right? They don't have a problem with the fact that the bank is charging them to hold their money. You can put $200 in the bank, and in a year, leaving that $200 there, you could easily come up with $190 based upon fees that they're taking out to hold your money, to then borrow against it and to obtain more assets, right? People just brush that under the rug and don't worry about it, right? And so I brought this video into play so that we could have the discussion about the change of mindset that needs to happen when it comes to putting our money somewhere and the risks that are involved with it. Political risk, Wall Street risk. People have 401ks that have been slashed in half or down to nothing. where they've worked for 20, 30 years at a place. I have one business partner who worked at Southwest who lost a third of their 401k. And it's simply like, oops, those things happen. But unfortunately, when the cryptocurrency space or the blockchain technology space takes turbulence, dips and turns, everyone says it's not real, it's not steady, it's not stable. But they're lacking the education of the financial industry as a whole. I'll yield the mic and give you all the opportunity to share in that before we talk about the new era of exchange and return that we're offering. I'll yield.
Go ahead, Malta. Code Blue.
Hey, ladies,
Hey.
my sister, and any brothers on the platform. Oh my gosh, Casey, what in the world are you doing today? Anyway, man, when you show that video, that's my wheelhouse. Especially when it comes to banks, when it comes to credit unions, and when it comes to brokerage accounts. And all what's playing in my mind as I'm hearing it is that, first of all, the banking institution was never really designed for certain people. So when certain people were allowed to incorporate or take advantage of the banking institution, a false balance was given. So when we look at today's, and I've studied the different banks and credit unions and brokerage accounts, banks, they yield you, even on a top CD, whatever the top CD, you will get maybe at most and at best, even on $1 million plus, 0.05%. And that will probably yield not just annually, but before you see any really serious return, you're gonna have to keep your money there for 5 years. And just like you said, they're taking the money out the back door, gaining money anywhere up to 20-something% on it when they lend it out, because that's what people don't understand. First of all, a lot of people, when they open their bank account, they don't even look at the bottom to read the fine print, much less go over to find out what the rates are. So, and I thank you for doing this, because education is needed. Education is key, because while you're receiving 0.01% on that same deposit, somebody is paying 23%. So really, where's seriously? But anyway, I yield the mic back to you.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Malta?
Yeah, straight like that, on some real G stuff. We have, again, I'm sticking to my words. We built different. We the ones that was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Why? So that we can save that cousin, that husband, that brother, that uncle, and even our fathers, and even our grandfathers, from that hit, that realization that you done messed up, man. And everything that you done did and everything that you done put into your life, it was the wrong route. So that's why I'm coming from a different angle. Yes, we are the ones. No, we are not against our brothers, our fathers, our husbands, our cousins, our uncles. It takes a strong woman to see what is going on that's wrong and hold her tongue. She's not holding her tongue to keep the peace. She's holding her tongue. I'm sorry. She's not holding her tongue because she's afraid. She's holding her tongue because she's keeping the peace. That's strength. And at this day and this time, We can't hold our tongue anymore. We gotta let them know. Exchange that crap money. Exchange that serpent money. Everything that you think you know, as far as property, as far as buying this low and selling this high, yeah, it all remains the same. That's the basics. That's assets 101. We're going to apply that now, Poppy. We are applying that now to crypto, to digital. Why? Because this is the only format, this is the only platform where assets don't have red tape attached to it to say, oh, well, I don't care how much you know or how wealthy you are through your own. Negro, you need 5 million here. Oh, you got the 5? Well, you need 10 then. The blockchain don't act like that. The blockchain said, this is what the program is. You meet these requirements, you do it. What are the requirements, y'all? With $33 a month. Other assets you have access to with incentives on letting other people know that this is going on. I'm so fired up. I'm so fired up. Because ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, this is real. We could do what BD Swiss, do y'all have any idea? They don't let just anybody in. Joseph Haidt used his leverage. And now we are allowed to use his. All right, I relinquish the mic. I'm done.
Thank you, Malta. Deb and Shayola and Roz, and then we're going to get right in and show our guests what we're talking about. It's super exciting. Go ahead, Deb.
Oh my goodness, Sister Shelby. Malta, you done took me all the way to where we are today, and we're in the back of the back, where it all started. And so I just wanted to kind of take us back into time a little bit, because that last slide showed us from the 1960s forward. But let's go back. Why did banking institutes get created in the first place? Well, in the 1800s, they were storehouses for precious metals and gems. When the gold rush came through and everyone was mining for gold, there was diamonds, there's all kinds of gems. Banks were originally storehouses, and when people needed to barter with those gems or precious metals, they went to the bank deposit box, got what they needed, and they lived that way. That was their barter system. Hence, here we are, what Malta just broke down. Okay. I just want to say, let's remember why banks were created. They were never created to take our money and lend it out and use it to make their families wealth off of. Banks were created for the people and a storehouse for their wealth. But now, hence to today, those structures, those systems are totally broken down. They no longer serve their purpose or the people. That's where blockchain in the crypto space is. That's where Lydian.world is. We're creating a whole new world that gives you income for a lifetime. So I want you to think about that, because ever since the gold standard came off the dollar in 71, you see steadily the decline of the value, because it was no longer a certificate that was being traded with a backing. And so here we are. We have another opportunity, family. You're at the right place at the right time. Women in crypto, it's time to unite, women. Let's do this. We have the power. We've worked for corporate America enough. When I was in corporate America, there's no way I was going to put all that money out of my paycheck into a 401k and let someone else trade it for me, and I had no control. It just never made sense to me. And so just now, you're at a place in 2022 where the $3 trillion and growing industry is starting to make sense. It gives the people the control back. You're in control of your wallet. You're your own banker. So this has been amazing. Thank you for taking us back in the time, Sister Shelby, to today, and much love.
Thank you so much, Deb, Shayola, and Roz. And then thank you so much, everybody. Give thanks, Shelby, for the platform and all of the women that spoke before me. What jogged in my mind is something that Malta said, in that we have a wonderful opportunity to have BD Swiss in our corner. when we were doing, they say you got to do your research, doing the research on BD Swiss, they do not necessarily even do business in the US. So for us to be in this space, to have them representatives for us, or this alliance, is really, really unique. It is a beautiful place to be in. There are no limits on the abundance that we can draw into our lives. And for me personally, that's just an amazing feeling to know that whatever it is that you desire to do, not only can you do it, but you don't have to do it alone. So again, I'm grateful for this platform. I'm grateful for all that I've learned. I feel like in the last 30 days has just been, one of my 300 and goals has been to become a crypto and blockchain expert. So I said, you know what, you have to really just buckle down and pay attention. So I'm grateful again for the opportunity. And I just wanted to shout out a guest on the line, Latoya Davis, who works very closely with me on the health sides of things. And I'm happy that she had a moment to come in and say hi. So give thanks for allowing me to share, and I yield the mic.
Thank you, Shayla. Really appreciate that. Thank you for your words. Roz?
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Shelby, for sharing this information. It's like, in 1971, when Nixon took the, gold off the gold standard, and, they just start printing paper. And then, a lot of people still think that the paper is backed by gold, but all they're doing is printing it, and they got to be educated. And so we are here sharing this information, which is beautiful, to empower the women. I'm a baby boomer, I'm 70. So I've learned so much just being on this platform, and everything. So it's time to be our own bank, it's time to step up and learn and understand that when your money is in your 401k, every time the stock market crash, you lose money, And so I've learned so much and understand that we are here to get educated, to know that the banks take our money out and earn and only give you 0.01%. And now we need to learn how to take some of that paper out of the bank and exchange it for assets and build generational wealth and legacy for your family, and be a wealthy family, and teach and share with our young people the information that we are learning, so they understand, take the money out of the banks because they are gangsters, and start building, assets and becoming entrepreneurs, and not worrying about having to work for somebody the rest of your life and die. Thank you for letting me share. I really love it.
Thank you, Roz. I love that. She said the banks are gangsters. I love it. I love it. So I really appreciate the share from all the women, because it's important that we dialogue, right? This movement is not for you just to be talked to, but we need to dialogue about what's happening. And I see Marie Stafford, I see your hand, and I promise to get to you in just a moment. But we have some guests on the line, and there's some things that we dropped that I want our guests to pick up. Some of you heard the word BD Swiss. It's a partnership we have with a phenomenal global trading platform, and we'll tell you about that in more detail. You also heard things about Lydian World. Lydian World is our gaming platform that we're allowed to create our own metaverse. We have our own metaverse called Lydian World. So I just want to bring those things to perspective before I introduce you to our amazing company. Okay, our company is called GS Partners. GS Partners is the marketing arm of a conglomerate, gold standard bank, and a conglomerate of companies. Tonight, we're going to hone in on GS Partners because that's how the everyday person, you and I, are able to fit in to this system. A billionaire named Chairman Mr. Joseph Haidt, he's the chairman of this company. He has, in his own right, a portfolio of companies that are $1 million and $1 billion companies, okay? He's doing this 100% with or without us. In 2020, he opened up a marketing arm, which is us, a referral branch to be able to put us in position to take advantage of his assets. And together, we, along with him, we all are building a community of people to build wealth. Does that make sense? And then we're going to show you how it's done. I want to show you this company. I want to show you this video. Every scene that you see here, I was there personally, and several people on this line were there personally. This is not a company that has no face. This is not a company that has no headquarters. This is not a company where you can't reach out and touch the owner. This is a company where the people on this line have physically touched the check writer, has physically touched the developers, and have physically been in the offices where we're headquartered out of, right? This is why we believe so passionately. This is why we're sharing this opportunity with you, because we've seen it. We've watched it work. We have friends who have come into this industry and in less than a year have walked out better than they came. Does that make sense? And so I want to share this video with you and introduce you to this company and bring it full circle so that I can show you old school investment in relation to the new era of exchange and return. Let's listen. On May the 7th of this year, 2022, our company released to the world a Lydian world. And I want you to notice that in that room, there were people of every age, of every culture, of every religion, of every background, financial background, economics, everywhere. Global, this is a global business. This is not your average, this is not your mom and pop shop. You're not entering Amazon when it was in the garage. This is a full-blown, full-service, blockchain technology, global business. Global business. And one of the things that one of our phenomenal leaders just said on the line, the special part about it is that it is colorless, it is borderless. We are wallets. All of us in this industry, we are wallets. And we don't have to deal with any of the barriers of gender, of race, of religion, of social economic background. When you're in the blockchain technology space, it's wallet to wallet, numbers and letters. That's all we are. And it's a beautiful place to be because it allows for equality, right? And Lydian World is providing that for us. And we are super, super excited. So this is how it works, right? Membership has its privileges. Some of you all have been part of social groups, right? Or sororities or fraternities or Hulu or Costco or BJ's or Sam's Club. It's a membership, right? And membership has its privileges. The way it works with us, with GS Partners, is that you simply become a member. And the membership gives you the ability to subscribe to all of the benefits that we have. It's very simple. $33 is the price of our membership. And that gets you phenomenal things. The main thing is it gives you a turnkey business, a turnkey home-based business if you choose to operate it as a business, and that's your choice. You don't have to operate this as a business. I do because my goal is freedom. I currently have time freedom, but I am now in the pursuit of financial freedom, meaning that I want to be able to do whatever I want to do financially, however I want to do it, whenever I want to do it. And that's what I'm in pursuit of. So $33 a month, I pay a membership that gives me the ability to have a home-based business to operate it. And in that home-based business, I'm able to accumulate assets. Assets, like we just talked about, people did savings accounts, they did bonds, they've done all kinds of things to accumulate assets. I am trying to accumulate digital assets, and that $33 membership opens it up for me. Now, this is what my back office would look like. Okay, now this is whether you decide to build a business or not. As a customer, you're going to have a back office that looks like this for you to monitor and see your assets. These are digital assets. Bitcoin is there, Ethereum is there, USD Tether, which is the coin that's the stable coin connected to the US dollar. We also have a coin that's connected to the euro. You're going to see one here called PAXG, which is gold, digital gold. We have XLT, which is digital real estate. This is what our back office looks like. That some of us who jumped on board got first movers advantage and were able to acquire digital real estate in Dubai in a tokenized asset. So if you decide to become a member, a customer, or a partner that decides to grow a business, you'll get a back office like this that is well worth $33 in itself to be able to track your money, just like online banking, okay? Crypto wallets, you're gonna see here. Now, we have something amazing. I want you to think again about IRAs, CDs, bonds, think of things in that nature, because we're gonna hone in on something specific tonight called certificates. So the old school is certificates of deposit that yield you little to nothing, and inflation hit it, which yield little to nothing. The new era is Lydian World Metaverse certificates on the blockchain. Now, let me tell you why the blockchain is so special, because in my research, I realized that even certificates of deposit, people say, oh, well, they're insured by the FDC. Oh, no, only to a certain amount, right? Only to a certain amount. Well, with our certificates are on the blockchain. And the way coding works and the security of the blockchain, there is no other technology in the world more secure than the blockchain. So your funds or your certificates on the blockchain have a higher level of security than anything else out here in the world. Okay? We're going to hone in on mining certificates. We're going to talk to you a little bit about it. And I'm not going to tell you about it because I'm going to let one of my business partners talk to you about mining certificates and how they fare out. I'm pausing for a moment to tell you a little bit about the certificates, what you get with it. You're going to get the opportunity to operate your global business. You're also going to get an NFT, non-fungible tokens, and we'll talk about that on a different day, or the person who invited you will give you more details about it, but it's something that you will be able to sell later, NFT. You also will have access in that membership to a blockchain academy, right? Education, education, education is what our chairman is all about. And he will give you a academy in your back office that looks like this for you to watch small videos at your leisure to educate yourself so you can stay empowered and stay informed. Does that make sense? All for the $33 a month membership. Okay, that's an important part. You see there it says that keeps your bank open. That's what keeps your bank open and keeps your certificates alive. Now, I'm going to pop over to another screen because my business partner, Mr. Mike Johnson, is the best that has ever done it, for my opinion, in breaking down the numbers on how in the world these certificates work out. All right. So give me just one moment. I am searching for it, and I do have it. Searching for it. There we go. I'm going to break it down for you, or let him break it down for you, on how our metaverse certificate works. And I'm jumping right into it because you just saw how all the other products work that we've been using in the old school. All right, let's listen. And I'm going to skip through a little bit because I don't want to overwhelm you. I just want you to realize the possibilities.
Certificates are simply phenomenal. The beauty of these metaverse certificates is real simple. When you secure one certificate for yourself and your family, you're getting 3. I repeat, you're getting 3 wealth building strategies all wrapped into one certificate. Now, how that breaks down is just like this. When you secure a metaverse certificate, and I'm going to show you the different array of metaverse certificates in just a second. Every metaverse certificate that you get, the company is going to offer you the amount, the face value of that particular certificate in what's known as citizenship vouchers. Now, these citizenship vouchers are good in this area called the Lydian world. It's a virtual world, family, that pays you and I real money on a passive residual basis. You can be earning money on a daily basis in the Lydian world. So these citizenship vouchers are worth dollar for dollar in the Lydian world. Now, that's one of the unique ways. But when you secure one of these certificates, what it also gives you is 2-in-1, as I like to call it. You're going to receive 2 certificates for the price of 1. They're going to provide you with what's known as a Lydian Stater's mining certificate. And what this mining certificate does, it works in the Lydian world, and it's like taking that citizenship that you gained in the Lydian world and putting it on steroids. It allows you to multiply your earnings in the Lydian world, and these Lydian Stater mining certificates, family, they are what's known as quantitatively guaranteed, depending on what amount you've loaded in these particular certificates. We're going to show you that in a second. And then you get a second certificate. Once again, it's 2-in-1. And that second certificate is known as a meta broker certificate. Now, this is where our relationship with one of the top 10 broker firms in the world kicks in. BD Swift is going to secure your assets, and they're going to be trading your assets for you professionally. And the beauty of that is, family, you have the opportunity to withdraw your profits daily if you choose. Everywhere you turn with this incredible company, they're setting you up to win. Now, I was always told that a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to share a snapshot of just the mining certificates. These are your metaverse mining certificates. Now, they range in value from $49 all the way up to $100. Now, for example's sake, I'm going to show you 4 examples. But please, if you're in a position where you can take a screenshot, please take a screenshot of this. And I encourage you, after the presentation, you may want to sit down with your loved ones and figure out what works best for you and your family. There's going to be another document that we want you to take a screenshot of. But this just gives you an idea of what each of these mining certificates look like. Let's assume that you wanted to get that very first mining certificate, which is $49. And you decide that you're going to fully load it. We're going to show you how you can load it in just a second. You're going to fully load it with $500 worth of USDT. What that means, family, is during every harvest period, consider your harvest period your rewards. During every harvest period, a fully loaded $49 certificate will yield you and your family $56 every 45 days. you notice it tells you right here that your harvest period or your reward period is every 45 days. And that is going to take place for 18 months. Now that's our starter certificate. Now, understanding you're going to get exactly a matching certificate as a trade certificate as well. But we wanted to break it down and slow it down and show you what you're getting. So everything that you see here, you can just mirror the same low capacity and the same value of the certificate because you're getting 2 in 1. Let's assume that you decided, well, that introductory certificate looked pretty good, but I do have my eyes on that Mercury certificate. Now, the Mercury certificate, the cost is $399. The load amount is up to 10,000 USDT. If you fully load this certificate, you basically get access to $843 every 45 days. And that takes place for a total reward period of 30 months. 30 months is 2.5 years. Okay, I wanted to show you different levels for different households because this company truly has a certificate that will fit each household. You just have to decide what works best for you and your family. Okay, let's say that those were good for those individuals who just want to kind of stick their toe in the water. And there's a certificate that is very popular with several of the leaders, and it's called Jupiter. Imagine if you got a Jupiter certificate. Now, the cost of a Jupiter certificate is $5,000. Fully loaded, that Jupiter certificate will yield you $9,750. Notice that the harvest period has changed. Here, it's every 30 days. So you're going to receive $9,750 every 30 days like clockwork for a total of 60 months or 5 years. Now, I wanted to show you 3 examples on what I call the first page. And then there was one other certificate that's not listed here, and that is the certificate known as our Moon certificate. The Moon certificate, family, fully loaded, will yield you, listen carefully, it's going to yield you $61,606 every 15 days. Notice the harvest period has changed. It's every 15 days, and that takes place for a total of 84 months or 7 years. Now, these are just your basic certificates, and what we try to do is just give you a glimpse of what's possible. Now, remember, you can get a certificate anywhere from a $49 all the way up to a $100,000 certificate. Think of it as in terms of a product that will rival any certificate of deposit any bank has ever offered. Because here's what I want you to do. This is the second document I want you to take a snapshot of. The reason I want you to take a snapshot of this is because after we finish, you can sit down with your loved ones and you can go over this in detail and the numbers will all make sense. But allow me to share those very 4 examples that I shared with you before. But the difference in this document is we've done all of the legwork for you. For instance, if you decided you're going to get an entry-level certificate, that $49 Century certificate, $49 is the cost of the certificate. The max load was $500. It will yield for you every pay period or reward period. It's going to yield $56.25. I just left the 25 cents off because it didn't want it to become an eye chart. But here's the thing I want you to understand. Over the course of 1 year, that totals $450. Now, here's what I share with people. The reason that we created this document, and let me explain, this document is for illustration purposes only. I created this document to give people a visual of what's available. Now, as I believe our speaker said it, and as also you heard it from Mr. Michael Dalco, our global ambassador, we are not financial advisors, nor are we advising anyone with financial advice. What we're sharing with you is what many of us are doing. That being the case, I do want to go back to that entry-level certificate, but I want to share this with you. This document was created for people who are brand new to GS Partners. The reason we say if you're brand new, what we have done is we've calculated, if you're brand new, what would be your total cost to secure one of these certificates and fully load the certificate? The total cost would be less than $200. The reason that that's significant, family, is because the certificate is designed to pay out to where in 1 year, you've doubled your money. Over the course of the entire period, which is 18 months, you basically tripled your money. Now that was that $49 certificate. Okay, let's say you are looking at that $399 Mercury certificate. Well, the $399 Mercury certificate has a slightly larger load, which means out of pocket, all in, you're looking at roughly about let's round it up to $3,200. Okay, this one pays out a little different. It's 30 months that you're going to receive your compensation. Now, remember, you're going to receive $844 every 45 days. What that equates to, family, is over the course of that first year, okay, you spent $3,200. At the end of the first year, you doubled your money again. But notice something happens over the entire reward period. Instead of doubling your money, now you 5x your money. See, as you go up in stature, your rewards are more substantial. Now that's the Mercury. And again, every 45 days, you would receive $844. And then I share with you the one that a lot of our leaders are looking at, and a lot of our leaders have already secured, and that is the Jupiter. Jupiter, the cost of the certificate was $5,000. Total cost of everything in is $60,000. And I always tell people, relax when you see that number, because that's a fully loaded Jupiter certificate. But notice, the Jupiter certificate, the rewards period is 60 days, which means, notice over here, it also changes. Your pay period is every 30 days, which means every 30 days, you'll receive $9,750. There's a young lady on our team named Miss Nicole Nikki Knox. She instantly put a pencil to that number and she said, wait a minute, 12 times 9, that's a 6-figure income. Exactly. You would earn in your first year $117,000. Now, you're $3,000 short of doubling your money. But here's the thing that I want you to understand. It's a 5-year total reward period. So if you're talking about 5 years, over the course of those 5 years, you basically just short of 10x your money. Well, actually, it's a little better than 10x your money. But the thing that I want you to understand is this: everywhere you turn, this company sets you up to win. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand. I shared that Moon certificate. And the reason that I shared the Moon certificate is because one of the things we teach everyone on our team, you can't spend the money that's in someone else's pocket. There was a gentleman who approached me and needed some assistance on breaking these numbers down. He had a friend that had just sold his business, and his business cleared $250,000. His goal was not to pay capital gains on that money. And all we did was show him this Moon certificate. Now, stay with me on the Moon certificate. The cost of a Moon certificate is $100,000. This gentleman told us he had $250,000 that he needed to place. Okay, the total cost to fully load that Moon certificate is $650,000. Now, no one asked this gentleman if he had any more money to basically secure this with. But let's assume, because he's selling a business, that he probably had some more money in that account. And let's assume that he is not going to be able to generate the full amount. Let's just say he can come up with, let's call it an extra $80,000. And he's willing to put that toward what we're doing here. Do you realize if he paid half, if he came up with $325,000, then you just take all of these numbers and you basically cut them in half. So what would happen, and this one pays every 15 days. Instead of $61,000, he would receive $30,000 every 15 days. Or instead of $1.4 million, what he's going to receive on an annual basis would be $700,000. All we're sharing with you is this. It's not a question of will it make sense? It's a question of if you had, let's just use, I want to go back to Jupiter, and I use Jupiter for a reason. Let's say you had $40,000 sitting in a bank account, and most banks pay less than 1% interest. So obviously you're not getting any type of return on your money, but notice that the net return, the APY, the annual percentage yield, the net yield on this is 58%. So if you had $40,000 sitting in there and you basically came up with, because you have 120 days to fill these particular certificates, by the way. From the date that you activate it, you have 120 days to fill it. Let's say you took the 40,000 and you put it toward filling this thing totally, and you just came up with the other 20. Do you realize that in your very first year, not only would you be able to repay the money that you took from the bank account, you can double your money that you had in the bank account. But over the next 4 years, you're in a pure profit mode of $117,000 per year. Now, the reason that I definitely show people the moon is because we can't spend someone else's money. Think of some of the pro athletes that you may know. Many of us know people that are in the professional sports, but many of them don't know where is a safe place to put their quote unquote hard-earned money, if you want to call it that. And all we're showing you something that is quantitatively guaranteed. It all depends on how much of that particular asset did you load, because each of these certificates are assets. Assets are those things that have the ability to generate a revenue or generate income for you and your household. And all we're showing you are different asset opportunities that you have. Now, I truly appreciate you giving me a few moments to kind of break this down.
All right, ladies, so we're going to stop there because it's time now to introduce you to our support team, right? So your support team in this blockchain technology, cryptocurrency space they're here. Everyone that's on this line, right? So some of that may be a little bit overwhelming to hear, or it might be confusing to understand, but this is the great part. You can earn while you learn. This is a place where we introduce to you the platform of women in cryptocurrency, the education, and the opportunity. But this is not the last stop. We have education happening all the time. As soon as 9 o'clock tonight, more education about what's happening and what this opportunity is. This was just to wet your whistle, to let you know that we're here, to open up your mind, to be that cocoon and turn into that butterfly, to be open to change, to realize that the old school way did not work, will not work, and we have to evolve into the new era of exchanging and returning. We believe in this company. We believe in its ethics. We believe in its value. We believe in its goals, its mission, and we believe in its opportunity to change all of our lives. We believe it sincerely, and that's the only reason why we have shared it with you. If we didn't believe, we wouldn't share it with you. If we had not seen it for ourselves, people's lives change in a short few 18 months, we would not be sharing it with you. If we had not seen our chairman and our technology team and our council team, if we had not seen their integrity, I promise you, I wouldn't be sharing it with you, and neither would the person who invited you here tonight. We're grateful that you took out this time for us, and now I want to introduce you to the support team. They will come to the front and welcome the guests that they've invited, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers and send you on your way to get more education and to go tell everyone. Now, I do want to be clear about this because we say this, but somehow it doesn't get heard. You can be a customer like a customer in a bank, or you can be a partner, or you can do both. It's not one without the other. It's your choice to tell other people. You can grow your assets and not tell a soul ever. And that's okay. Your assets will still grow without telling a soul. But if you choose to, like myself and like the support team that's here, we can't keep good things to ourselves, right? So we tell other people, and the company simply gives us a referral bonus for doing that, which I believe is fair, because the restaurants never give me a free meal when I tell other people how great it is. They never comp me, okay? And so I don't mind being comped for telling somebody about something great. I'm going to yield the mic and let my support team come to the front and welcome their guests. Thank you so very much for your time and your attention and your conversation and your openness. I appreciate it. I'll yield the mic.
Well, good evening, ladies. I guess I will start us out this evening. Rhonda Hollins here. I want to